The coal was heavy in my palm. Not a cute little briquette. A jagged, dirty lump wrapped like jewelry. Gold ribbon, black tissue. No card, no Merry Christmas, Dad. Just a room full of people smiling too wide, filming too steady, waiting for my reaction like I was the entertainment they'd paid for. The funny part? I had. Every inch of that room was financed by my patience. Subscribe and comment where you're listening from, because some families don't celebrate Christmas. They collect receipts. David's living room looked like a magazine spread that hated human beings. White everything, white walls, white couch you're not allowed to sit on, a tree so tall it needed a ladder and a mortgage. They didn't have a mortgage problem, though. Not with me paying $3,200 on the 15th of every month. 5 years, 60 transfers. Never late once. The TV on the wall was a 75-inch OLED. You couldn't miss it. It glowed even when it was off, like it knew it cost $3,000 and wanted you to respect it. I bought it last month because David said, "The old one is hurting the vibe." Hurting the vibe. I'm Arthur, 68, retired civil engineer. 40 years of bridges, load ratings, and watching people ignore warning signs until things collapse. You spend a career building structures, you learn a simple truth. Anything can hold weight. Not everything deserves it. They had farmhouse chic now. That's what Sarah called it. A kitchen island the size of a small boat, visible through an archway, with pendant lights that looked like upside-down champagne glasses. That renovation cost $15,000. My $15,000. Sarah told me it was for the grandkids' memories. The grandkids were adults, 21 and 19. Their memories mostly lived on their phones. I sat in the corner armchair because that's where they put me. Not at the center, not at the couch. Corner chair. Like a lamp. The house was hot. Too hot. Sarah liked it at 74. I liked it at 68. I'd always liked it cooler. Less wasted energy. Less money burning into drywall. Apparently, that meant I deserved coal. They were loud. Brunch plans. Mimosa talk. Complaints about traffic like their SUVs didn't have heated steering wheels. Under the tree was a pile of gifts that looked familiar. Rectangles, big boxes, clean edges, expensive shapes. I knew what they were because I'd bought most of them. A PS5 box has a certain posture. A MacBook box sits like it's better than you. A smartwatch box is tiny and smug. I could read a room like a blueprint. Sarah had her phone in her hand before the first present was opened. Not for photos, for content. Grandson Tyler, 21, jawline trained by selfies, kept glancing at me like I was a dog about to do a trick. Granddaughter Emma, 19, had that bored look young people wear when they're waiting for something they didn't earn. David was bouncing around in socks like he was hosting a show. He wore the watch I'd bought him last Father's Day, $450. He hadn't called on Father's Day, but he wore the watch. That's what I was to them, a supplier, a walking ATM with inconvenient emotions. They opened gifts in a blur. Tyler tore open a box and held up a drone. "No way, Dad! This is sick!" I watched him turn it over, looking for the camera specs. Not once did he look at me. Emma got a laptop and squealed like it wasn't going to be used for scrolling and brand building. Sarah opened a purse. $700. I recognized the logo because she'd sent me the link 3 times. Then kissed David like he'd bought it with his own money. David opened a set of golf clubs. Not cheap ones. The kind with a name stamped on them like a threat to your retirement. "Dad, you're the best," David said, looking somewhere near my shoulder. Not at my face. Just in my direction. Like saying it to a mailbox. I nodded once. That was my habit. A little acknowledgement. Minimal movement. Like checking a measurement and moving on. Then David stood up and clapped his hands. Okay. Last gift," he said, smiling too hard. "This one's for you, Dad." The room got quieter. Not calm. Anticipatory. Sarah's phone rose a little higher. Tyler's phone was already pointed at my hands. Emma tilted her head like she'd seen the punchline in advance. David walked over holding a small box. Beautiful wrapping. Heavy gold ribbon. The kind you buy when you want the gift to look expensive, even when it's not. He placed it in my lap like he was doing me a favor. It had weight, not much, but enough to register. I don't guess, I verify. I slid a finger under the ribbon and pulled. Clean. Precise. The paper didn't tear because I didn't tear it. I unfolded it like it was a document. Inside was black tissue paper, folded neatly. Too neatly, like someone practiced. I opened it. Coal. Not decorative coal. Not a novelty piece with glitter. A dirty, jagged lump of charcoal like it came out of a grill behind a cheap diner. No card, no note, just coal, sitting there like a verdict. For half a second, no one spoke. Then Sarah laughed, loud. Too loud. The laugh people use to tell you how you're supposed to feel. "We thought it fit the mood this year, Arthur," she said, "since you're always checking the thermostat." Tyler snorted. Emma covered her mouth like she was trying not to smile, which meant she was smiling. David shrugged like he wasn't part of it, like the coal had fallen out of the sky. I looked up. Every phone was pointed at me. It wasn't a family moment. It was a clip, a TikTok, a little video where an old man gets humiliated for likes. Christmas morning turned into a social experiment. My hands didn't shake. They got cold. That was my tell. Not anger, not tears. Temperature drop, like my body was shutting down non-essential systems. I stared at the coal, then at the ribbon, then back at the coal. Engineers notice patterns. And this one was simple. They wanted me to react. They expected me to yell, to ruin Christmas, to give them a reason to call me difficult, to justify what they did next. Because coal isn't just an insult. Coal is a message. You are naughty. You are ungrateful. You deserve less. In my jacket pocket I had a check. I'd written it the night before. $40,000. Tuition for Tyler's last year. He'd been so stressed. David had said it would change everything. Funny how I'd been changing everything for 10 years. I set the coal back in the box, folded the tissue, closed the lid. Then I retied the ribbon. Slow. Exact. Like I was sealing evidence. The room shifted. You could feel their confusion. That wasn't the reaction the algorithm wanted. David blinked. Sarah's laugh faded into an awkward silence. I stood up. My knees made that small pop they make in winter. Not pain. Just age announcing itself. I held the box at chest level for a moment as if considering it. Then I looked at David. No raised voice, no speech. Just a question with my eyes. "Is this who you are?" David tried to smile again. It came out crooked. "Come on, Dad," he said. "It's a joke." A joke. Right. People always call it a joke when the target doesn't laugh. I put the coal box on the side table next to the expensive candles Sarah never lit because she was saving them. Saving the candles. Burning my money. I walked to the coat rack. "Where are you going?" David asked. "We haven't started brunch." "No, are you okay?" "No, I'm sorry. Just brunch." Like I was late for a reservation I'd paid for. "I think I've overstayed my welcome," I said. Sarah scoffed. "Oh my God. Don't be dramatic." Dramatic. That was her favorite word when someone else had boundaries. I slid my arms into my jacket. The fabric was cold. The zipper caught for a second, then went up. David stepped closer. "Dad, seriously." I looked at the coal box again. "Enjoy it," I said. "It burns hot if you use it right." Tyler's phone dipped. Just a fraction. Emma frowned like she wasn't sure if she should keep filming. Sarah's smile died. Good. I walked out. The December air hit my face like a slap. Sharp. Clean. Honest. The kind of cold that doesn't pretend. My car door was icy under my palm. I felt the grit of salt on the handle. My breath came out white. I got in and shut the door. The sound was solid, final. I sat there for 3 seconds. Hands on the wheel, engine off. 3 seconds. That's how long it took my brain to switch modes. Family mode off, damage control on. I drove home through streets lined with lights and inflatable Santas. People pretending the world was simple. I didn't speed. I didn't rage. I just drove. That's the thing about men like me. We don't explode. We calculate. At home, my house was quiet. Too quiet sometimes. But honest quiet. No forced laughter. No cameras. I hung my jacket, took my shoes off, put the coal box on my kitchen table. It looked ridiculous there, like a disease sample. I walked into my home office. The desk was oak, old, solid. The kind of furniture you buy once because you don't enjoy wasting money on replacements. I turned on my computer. The screen glowed. Bank portal, investment portal, bills. People think Christmas protects them. It doesn't protect their due dates. I clicked into my scheduled transfers. Mortgage support, $3,200. Monthly, scheduled for the 15th. Next payment, December 24th. I stared at the number. $3,200. That's not help. That's an adult's responsibility. Outsourced to an old man because it was easier than changing their lifestyle. I canceled it. One click, confirm, done. My finger didn't hesitate. Not even a twitch. Next. Utilities reimbursement, $410. Scheduled, canceled. Car insurance reimbursement, $185. Canceled. Then, I went into the family Amazon account. I paid for the family plan because David said it was simpler. It was simple, all right. Simple to spend my money like it grew on Sarah's kitchen island. I removed my card. I removed the backup card. I changed the password. I logged out all devices. I imagined Sarah trying to order something later and seeing payment method declined. That thought didn't make me happy. It made me calm. Then I took the check out of my jacket pocket. $40,000. Payable to the university, Tyler's full name. My handwriting steady. I held it between two fingers, like it was a piece of contaminated paper. I could have kept it. I could have voided it and stored it. But that check represented something worse than money. It represented consent. Consent to be treated like this. I took my shredder from under the desk. Old machine. Loud. Reliable. I fed the check in. The shredder chewed it with that gritty sound. Paper turning into thin ribbons. The last corner disappeared. Gone. Just gone. I stood there with my hand resting on the shredder's plastic lid. The motor hummed down and stopped. In the kitchen, the coal box sat on the table. A joke, a message, a test. And they'd miscalculated one thing. They thought I was desperate for family time. They thought the idea of being alone scared me more than being used. They didn't know what solitude feels like to a man who spent decades being the responsible one. Solitude feels like relief. My phone buzzed once. A text from David. Dad, seriously, don't do this. No apology. No, we went too far. Just an order. Like I was a machine that needed to be reset. I didn't respond. I poured myself coffee. Black, bitter, hot enough to sting my tongue. The way I liked it. I stood by the window and watched snow drift in thin lines across my yard. 2 minutes later, another buzz. Sarah this time. You're acting like a child. It was a joke. There it was again, joke. A word people use when they want to hurt you without consequences. I took a sip of coffee. My hand was steady, but the muscles in my jaw tightened until my teeth ached. That was my anger. Not yelling, pressure. I walked back into my office and opened my notes app. New file. Title. The Diamond Ledger. If they wanted to play games, I could play one. I'd been doing math longer than they'd been alive. I typed the first line. Down payment. House. 2015. $80,000. Then another. Mortgage support. 3,200 times 12 times 5 equals $192,000. I paused. No, accurate matters. I pulled my bank statements. Not estimates, not memories. Proof. I started counting. One transfer at a time. Like I was rebuilding a bridge after an idiot drove a truck that was overweight across it, because a sign was just a suggestion. By the time the coffee cooled, I had 17 line items, and I wasn't even close to done. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Tyler. A voice message. I didn't open it right away. I stared at the coal box on my kitchen table, ribbon still neat, like it was proud of itself. Then I clicked play. Tyler's voice came through, casual and impatient. "Grandpa, Dad said you left. Are you seriously mad about that?" It was just content. You know, like, funny. "Anyway, can you still send the tuition thing? The deadline's coming up." Just content. Funny. Deadline. He didn't ask if I was okay. He asked if the faucet was still running. I listened to it twice. Not because I enjoyed it, because I wanted the exact wording. Engineers don't argue feelings. We archive evidence. I saved the message. Then I opened my cloud settings, family plan, shared storage, shared devices. I paid for it, which meant, in a quiet way, I had access. Not because I snooped, because they'd never once thought to remove me. People don't lock doors they don't believe you'll walk through. I clicked, find my devices. And there it was, an iPad, David's, location, their address. My iPad wasn't missing, but something else was. Respect. I leaned back in my chair and felt the leather creak under my shoulders. The house was silent, except for the faint tick of the wall clock. Tick, tick, tick. Time doesn't care about holidays. It collects interest. And in 3 days, their mortgage payment would be due. In 7 days, Tyler's tuition deadline would hit. They thought they'd given me coal. They didn't realize they'd lit a fuse. I opened the cloud messages. A list of threads popped up. Family, brunch group, vacation planning. And one that made my hand go colder than the snow outside. A group chat titled, Christmas Plan. I clicked it. The first message was from Sarah, dated December 3rd. "Coal for Arthur, I'm serious. He needs to loosen up." Below it, Tyler. "It'll go viral. Boomer gets coal. I'll post it." Emma. "Make sure the box looks expensive so it's funnier." David. "Don't worry, he's too desperate for family time to do anything. He'll take it." I stared at that line. Too desperate. I read it again. Then a third time, because sometimes your brain refuses to accept the weight of a fact. My son had reduced me to a need, a weakness, a guarantee. I didn't feel sad. My body didn't allow sadness in that moment. My hands just went colder, and my breathing slowed. That was the signal. A structure had failed. Now you decide whether to patch it or demolish it. I scrolled further. Sarah again. "And if he pouts, we'll guilt him. We need Hawaii paid by January." Tyler. "Tell him it's for family memories. Works every time." David. "He'll cave. He always does." I took my phone and turned on audio recording. I didn't speak. I just let the room's silence get captured for a second, like a bass line. Then I said one sentence, low, into the microphone. December 21st, 9:14 a.m. I have confirmation the coal was planned to manipulate me for money. I stopped recording. Not for drama, for documentation. Because if this escalated, and it would, I wanted a clean timeline. I looked at the line item on my screen again. Mortgage support, $3,200, canceled. I imagined David opening his banking app and seeing the transfer missing. Imagine Sarah's face when the automation she relied on didn't happen. Imagine Tyler realizing funny content had consequences. My mouth tasted like cold coffee now. Bitter. Flat. I didn't need warmth from them. I needed separation. I stood up and walked to my safe in the closet. Not a flashy one. A steel box bolted into studs because I don't trust surface-level security. I opened it. Inside were documents, deeds, old contracts, receipts, promissory notes, things people forget exist until you put them on a table. And there, in a folder labeled David House, was the paper they never asked about. A promissory note. Signed in 2015. David's signature, mine as lender. Terms: $80,000 loan for down payment. Interest waived. Repayment deferred unless payment stopped or lender demanded. I'd written it because I'm an engineer, not a fool. I'd never enforced it because he was my son. But that paper was still real. And real papers don't care about jokes. I placed the folder on my desk next to my laptop. Coal on the kitchen table. Ledger on the desk. Evidence in the cloud. 3 points of a triangle. Stable, unavoidable. My phone buzzed again. David calling. I watched it ring. Once, twice, 3 times. I didn't answer. Not yet. You don't pick up a call when you're still gathering load data. You answer when you're ready to measure their panic. The call went to voicemail. A second later, another call. Sarah, then a text. Answer. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Like coal. Like filming your father for laughs. Like calling a man ridiculous right after you use his money to keep your house warm. I sat down, opened my spreadsheet and typed the next line. Kitchen renovation, 2021, $15,000. Then another. OLED TV, 2025, $3,000. Then I paused and stared at the total column. It wasn't even the big stuff that got you. It was the drip, the constant, quiet drip of entitlement. The way they treated my wallet like a utility bill. The way they treated me like an aging subscription. I heard the phone buzz again. This time I answered. Not because I was ready to talk, because I wanted to hear what came out of my son's mouth when the faucet stopped running. Did you mess with the bank? David said. No hello. No pause. No curiosity about how I was doing. Just accusation. Like I'd dented his car. I didn't answer right away. On my screen, the spreadsheet cursor blinked in the empty cell beside kitchen renovation. A small, patient pulse, waiting for input. Dad, David snapped. Are you there? I'm here, I said. My voice sounded older than it had that morning. Not weaker, just stripped down, no padding left. The mortgage transfer didn't go through, he said. The bank sent an alert. I could hear paper rustling, screens clicking, panic wearing business casual clothes. I know, I said. Silence. Then Sarah's voice, sharp and cutting in from the side. What do you mean you know? I mean, I said, I canceled it. What? David barked. Why would you do that? I leaned back in my chair. The leather creaked again. Same sound as before. Familiar, reliable. Because it's my account, I said. And I decided to stop. Sarah laughed. Not the big performative laugh from the living room. This one was tight, defensive. You're punishing us over a joke? She said. There it was. Punishing. Joke. 2 words people use when they don't want to acknowledge cause and effect. I'm responding to information, I said. That's different. David exhaled hard. Dad, this is insane. You can't just pull support like that. Can't? I asked. I glanced at the screen again. At the canceled transaction. Still canceled. Looks like I can. Sarah jumped back in. We have obligations. The house. The kids. The kids are adults, I said. And the house isn't mine. It might as well be, David snapped. You wanted us to have it. Mom wanted us to have it. Ah, there it was. Inheritance. The invisible leash they'd been tugging on for years. I wanted you to be stable, I said. I didn't agree to be humiliated for entertainment. It was TikTok. Tyler's voice cut in suddenly. He must have been on speaker. Everyone does stuff like that. Everyone, I asked. No answer. I could hear breathing now. Multiple people. A room full of adults waiting for the old man to cave. I'm busy, I said. We'll talk later. Don't you dare hang up, Sarah said. This is financial abuse. I smiled. Just a little. Because that word choice was a gift. Say that again, I said. What? Say it again, I repeated. Clearly, there was a pause. Then Sarah, slower this time, more deliberate. You're cutting us off to control us. That's elder abuse in reverse. Financial manipulation. We could talk to a lawyer. I tapped my finger once on the desk. Just once. Thank you, I said. For what? David asked. For clarifying your position, I said. This call is being recorded. Dead silence. Then David exploded. You're recording us. What the hell is wrong with you? I didn't raise my voice. What's wrong, I said, is that you just threatened to question my competency because I stopped paying your bills. That's not, Sarah started. You said lawyer, I said. You said abuse. Those are legal words. I take legal words seriously. I could hear Tyler whisper something in the background. Emma, too. Panic spreading like a stain. Dad, let's calm down, David said, trying a new tone. Softer. Measured. We didn't mean it like that. You meant it exactly like that, I said. You just didn't expect me to notice. I ended the call. No goodbye. Just tap. The room went quiet again. Honest quiet. I saved the recording. Labeled it. Date. Time. Participants. Engineers label everything. I turned back to my spreadsheet. House down payment. $80,000. Mortgage support. $192,000 so far. Utilities. $24,600 over 5 years. Cars. 2. One for Tyler, one for Emma, used. Reliable. $26,000 each. I typed the numbers in, watched the total climb. $348,600. And I wasn't done. The clock ticked. Outside, a neighbor started a snowblower. The engine whined, steady and mechanical. A sound I'd always liked. Honest work. Clear purpose. My phone buzzed again. Text from Sarah. You're blowing up the family over nothing. Nothing. I stared at that word until the letters blurred. Then another text. Mom would be ashamed. That one landed heavier. Not because it was true. Because it was calculated. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my email. Typed one line to my attorney. Need to update will. Urgent. Tomorrow. Hit send. Then I went back to the ledger. Emergency bailouts. There had been more than I remembered. Dental surgery. Insurance issue. $4,200. David's business. Rough patch. $18,000. Sarah's temporary credit card balance. $6,800. I found every transfer, every memo line, every excuse. I counted months. I counted years. 10 years. 10 years of being careful, so they could be careless. By midnight, the total hit $645,000. I stared at it. $645,000. Not including interest. Not including opportunity cost. Just raw outflow. I looked at the coal box again. One lump. Zero return. My calculator hadn't given up, but it was tired. I closed the spreadsheet and saved it as a PDF. Named it simply. The Ledger. I went to bed late, not restless. Focused. Sleep came like it always had, when I knew exactly what needed to be done. 3 days later, the real panic started. The call came at 8:12 a.m. David again. This time I answered on the second ring. The bank says we're past due, he said. No anger now, just fear. They charged a fee. I know, I said. Dad, please, he said. Fix it. Fix it. Like I was a maintenance man for his life. I'm not fixing anything, I said. I'm done funding disrespect. You're doing this to teach us a lesson, Sarah said in the background. This is about control. No, I said. This is about math. You can't just rewrite history, David snapped. Those were gifts. Some were, I said. Some weren't. What does that mean? It means, I said, you signed paperwork you never thought I'd use. Silence again, then quieter. What paperwork? I smiled again. This time it wasn't pleasant. We'll discuss it in person, I said. With my lawyer. Sarah laughed nervously. Oh my God, you're being dramatic again. No, I said, I'm being precise. I hung up. An hour later, I got an email from Tyler. Subject line. Deadline. Just that. No greeting, no apology. I didn't open it. Instead, I went for a walk. The cold air cut through my coat. My breath burned my lungs. My hands stayed cold the entire time. That was fine. Cold kept me sharp. When I got back, there was another email. This one from a number I didn't recognize. A lawyer's office. They'd actually done it. I read it slowly. Formal language. Vague accusations. Phrases like undue influence and mental capacity. They weren't suing yet. They were fishing. I forwarded it to my attorney. Added one line. Proceed. The meeting was scheduled for the following week. Neutral location. Conference room. Glass table. Polite distance. I arrived early. Sat at the head of the table because that's where the documents needed to be. On the table, I placed one box. Same size as the coal box. Same gold ribbon. Because symmetry matters. David and Sarah walked in together. Tyler and Emma behind them. They looked tired. Good. My lawyer nodded to me and opened his folder. David tried to smile. Okay, Dad. Let's just get this sorted. I slid the box across the table. I got you a late Christmas present, I said. Sarah's eyes lit up for half a second. Then she opened it. Inside was a USB drive and a bound document. The ledger. My lawyer stood and plugged the USB into the screen. Numbers filled the wall. Dates, amounts, totals. $645,000. No rounding, no estimates. Just facts. The room went very quiet. My lawyer spoke calmly. This amount has been designated as an early inheritance distribution, he said. Per the updated will signed yesterday, your inheritance is now paid in full. David stood up. You can't do that. My lawyer clicked to the next slide. The promissory note. Signed. Dated. Valid. Yes, my lawyer said. He can. Sarah started crying. Real tears this time. Not for me. For the house. Tyler looked at the floor. Emma stared at the screen like it might change. David turned to me. You're ruining us. I shook my head once. You ruined yourselves, I said. I just stopped pretending it was my responsibility. My lawyer played the recording. Sarah's voice filled the room. Financial manipulation. Elder abuse. We could talk to a lawyer. David's face went gray. My lawyer stopped the audio. Attempting to declare a competent donor incompetent, he said, is grounds for full disinheritance in this state. Mr. Arthur has chosen restraint. I stood. You wanted warmth, I said. You have the house. Pay for the heat yourselves. I walked out. 6 months later, I sold my house. Bought a condo where winter doesn't hurt your joints. I play golf twice a week. Consult when I feel like it. The phone is quiet. The bank account is growing. At sunset, I sit on my patio with a glass of scotch and watch clean blue flames dance in the fire pit. They gave me coal to burn me. I use the pressure to make myself a diamond. The condo smells different than the old house did. No dust trapped in baseboards. No stale heat cycling through vents I paid to replace twice. Just clean air and citrus cleaner from the building staff that shows up on time because they're paid, not guilted. I wake up without an alarm now. Sunlight comes in from the left. Always the left. Predictable. I like that. I make coffee the same way every morning. 20 grams of beans. Medium grind. Water just under boiling. I count it out of habit, not necessity. Counting keeps the mind sharp. Keeps emotions from sneaking in where they don't belong. The phone stays on the counter. Face down. No buzzing. No accusations disguised as concern. No dad, quick question that costs 5 figures. I check my accounts once a week now instead of once a day. The numbers don't spike anymore. They rise slowly, like they should have all along. The consulting firm calls on Tuesdays, sometimes Thursdays. They don't ask for favors. They ask for opinions. They pay on time. They say thank you and mean it. Funny how respect works when money isn't confused with love. I play golf with men who know how to keep score without lying. We don't talk about family much. We talk about joints, weather, bad decisions we survived. One of them asked once if I had kids. I said yes, past tense. That was enough. At night, I sit on the patio. Gas fire pit. Clean blue flame. No smoke, no mess. No surprises. I pour one finger of scotch. 18 years old. I waited that long for other people. I can wait that long for a drink. The flame reflects off the glass table. Steady. Controlled. Contained. Like it should be. Sometimes I think about the coal, not the object, the moment, the calculation behind it. People think cruelty is loud. It isn't. It's organized. It's planned in group chats with emojis and confidence. They thought pressure would turn me into ash. They forgot how diamonds are made. I don't check their social media. I don't ask mutual friends for updates. Silence isn't a punishment. It's a boundary. The trust I set up runs on rules, not feelings. 30 years old. Degree or trade completed. No parental access. Clean, fair, unemotional. If the grandkids grow up, it'll be because they earned it, not because I was convenient. The phone stays quiet. The air stays warm. The numbers stay mine. That's the reward no one tells you about. Not revenge. Relief. If you're listening to this and your generosity is being mistaken for weakness, remember this. You're not required to keep funding your own disrespect. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. If this story hit close to home, share it. And remember, sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is walking away.